Hey, it's your professional sarcastic man and seeker of attention, Oz Chris, here with a review on Uncanny X-Men number 7 and X-Force number 1. Yes, another round of X titles to review. So we'll start off with Uncanny X-Men number 7. And if you saw recently on Twitter, I discovered that there's these cuts in these pages. I incorrectly said that it was probably a diamond issue. Second Prince DMI on Twitter corrected me on that. He said it's a Marvel printer issue because there is no quality control with Marvel and they use different printers. So those cuts were most likely, highly likely, probably are done by Marvel's printers. Because like I said, there's no quality control. But anyway, on to issue number 7. We've reached a Age of Apocalypse part of this storyline. The 4 young students of the Xavier Institute have been accidentally sent to the Age of Apocalypse along with X-Men by Legion. And I say I do like the art, but the problem is with this issue, it's another filler. So we start off with Glob and Armor fighting off against Infinites before going back to kind of the lab that X-Man was created with. X-Man in this, back in his own reality, he's now a weak, shriveled man. Well, slightly shriveled. He's just weak, more depressing now that he's back at his home. And for some reason, Rockslide and Pixie are against them. And that was basically the basis of the issue. They meet again, they fight, they stop, and that was it. Like, that was pretty much this issue. And it was filler again. I don't know why it's filler again. They're really milking and drawing out the story in Uncanny X-Men. And like I said, there's no context to why all of a sudden these two are fighting these two. Why they've broken up after they arrived in the Age of Apocalypse. Like, this is supposed to take a few months after they first arrived at the end of issue number 6. There is no context. They only slightly mention that as like, oh, they made their choice. And like, that was it. Like, there was no internal conflict prior to this issue that would show that they had conflicting views on how to deal with X-Men. So there's a kind of a really important part of this the story in this issue that is missing. Really, honestly, why? And it's filler once again. This does not advance the overall plot of Uncanny X-Men, this disassembled storyline, in any way. Filler, and we have 3 issues and an annual left. Honestly, Uncanny X-Men should have only been about 5 or 6 issues max. And because they want to lead this into 2 different stories, one will be the remainder of Uncanny X-Men from issue number 11 onwards, dealing with Wolverine and Cyclops getting back together, forming their own X-Men team while everyone else is missing. And then you have the Age of X-Men, where everyone that's missing is now living in a alternate timeline. So you know how it would have been easy just to do that. You have this whole Nate Gray. You can still at least keep the whole stupid Nate Gray is dying. He wants to turn Earth 616 into a paradise. You can still keep all of that, but I'll keep that end part of like issue number 6 where Legion tries to send him back to the Age of Apocalypse. But I would have ended it as all of them have gone together to confront X-Men. Legion goes to try and do his thing, send him back to the Age of Apocalypse. It doesn't work. Instead, X-Men uses his powers to counter Legion. So instead of sending him back to Age of Apocalypse, it creates that whole Age of X-Men universe and pulls everyone there except any of the X-Men that weren't there. So, Cyclops, Wolverine, their whole lineup with him to that universe, and they're living a different life. So instead of Age of Apocalypse, it becomes Age of X-Men. See, that's how I would have ended this story in 5 or 6 issues max. But no, this doesn't. They're really drawing the hell out of Uncanny X-Men. And me, who isn't a professional writer, could write a better ending to this story quicker than 3 writers. This has taken 3 writers to do this. 2 of them are actually competent or good when it comes to X-Men titles. One of them isn't. Matthew Rosenberg. Anyway, on to the better of the 2. X-Force #1. So spinning out of the events of Extermination, pretty much most of like the OG members of X-Force have gotten back together in order to deal with Kid Cable. Kid Cable has killed Cable, and they want to know why, and possibly, dish out some kind of revenge against him. Cover, like the cover, kind of simple action shot cover. So we go into the story, and so the members of X-Force are hunting down Kid Cable. He's gone into contact with these weapons dealers, trying to buy weapons from them, despite the fact that Domino knows that he has a shitload of weapons in his safe house. So they head to Transia. They head to Transia, this country is working as a kind of a safe haven for mutants, but for some reason mutants are being killed in the country, and at the same time Kid Cable arrives to save Deathlock. The 2 have been working together with this whole weapons dealer thing. They're able to escape, slightly saved by X-Force, where Kid Cable reveals that the real reason he wants to deal with these weapons dealers is because they're all getting weapons from the future. Who by, they don't know yet. But during that whole Transia thing, the Commandant Constantine, betrays the president, and Kid Cable and Deathlock, or pretty much any mutants, are now on his hit list, pretty much. As he says, as such, I have no choice but to declare martial law. Transia is now under military rule and will remain so until the mutant threat that faces our great country has been exterminated completely. So we're going for another mutants need to die because they're different. Again, it's after so many years, why is this still an issue? Honestly, I know it's not an issue that gets resolved in one day, but this is going on for years, and it's still an issue. In a world of superheroes where almost anyone can do anything, oh no, mutants are mutants. That's a bit fucking weird. But still, but then also we got a little Boom side story, because she's missing. It's even stated that she hasn't arrived. She's missing. She turns up late to the weapons dealer location at the start of the book, start of this issue, and gets some actual vital information before she rejoins the team. I will say art, before I get into my thoughts on the comic, art, I'm not a fan of this art. Who is the artist on this one? So Dylan Burnett, and the colorist is Jesus Abertov. I don't like the coloring and art in this. As you can kind of see, for some reason, everyone has slightly longer faces. It's like their faces are all starting to droop for some reason. I don't know why. Pretty much almost all of the characters have these long faces. I mean, look at that. See, the president has a long face. General looks slightly alright in some scenes. Kid Cable has a long face. So in this part, it looks like normal face. That it just seems longer. That looks slightly better. So I don't know why with Burnett. With Dylan Burnett, His artwork is just everything. All the faces are slightly longer. The colorist works best when it's not in dark scenes. When it's daylight, the art is I actually do like. So, but the coloring in this first part, yeah, no, not a big fan. But then they have a different artist and colorist for the Boom Boom mini story at the end. So, who's that? So the artist and colorist for what's called The Big Sleepin' by I'm gonna butcher this name, Juanan Ramirez, and colorist is Brian Reber. Honestly, they should have been the main artist and colorist for this, because look at this, the art. Ignore the car that just started in the background, but look at this art. The art in this is, and this little small mini story is slightly better than the art within 9/10 of this issue. So I don't know why Ramirez and Reber should have been the main artists on this, because the art in this part was much better. The cover is by Pepe Larraz and David Curiel. Even them as the main artists would have been better. But story was I like. The only main interesting part is the X-Force dealing with Kid Cable. Honestly, the whole the transient mutant thing, it's such an overused plot line with X-Men. It's just like, mutants are a threat, we have to kill them. It's like, oh no, we're not, but we're gonna stop you. So I'll see how the second issue goes. I think the only thing that interests me is the whole Kid Cable thing. So I'll see how it goes. Yeah, we'll see how the second issue goes. But it was an okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad first issue, but it wasn't an amazing one either. So it was an okay issue. So that's it for these two comics, for this for these X title reviews. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.